in case we have some viewers this morning. So good morning. I have some wonderful news for you today. The same power and presence that put the galaxies into their spin and inspires the acorn to grow into the mighty oak tree is the same power and presence that is working through each and every one of us. It's the power that helps us to move out of a space of fear and into a sense of adventure. It's the power that helps us trust what works through us, and so that we come from a space of love instead of anger or fear. And so with that, we will sing our theme song. I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now. Cool. There's some birdies up there. Okay. Susan's back from vacation, so she'll read our daily word for us.
Hey.
Xing's back too. Hi, Xing.
Well, the travelers are back. It's good to be back.
Yes.
The daily word for today is worthy. Good morning. I am worthy of my good. Like all people, I want a good life, loving relationships, rewarding work, and abiding peace. Yet these blessings may elude me until I awaken to my inherent worth. I am created in the image and likeness of God. My worth does not depend on my behaviors. I am intrinsically worthy because I am a living, loving, divine creature. When doubts arise, I remember the truth of my being. The good I seek is right where I am. The love I desire is the love of God already present. The work I long to do is spirits calling within me. As I stand in my own sacred worth, I feel the blessings of God infill me. I am worthy of my good. I expect the best, and I am ready to receive. From Ruth 3:11, now my daughter, do not be afraid. I will do for you all that you ask. For all the assembly of my people know that you are a worthy woman. And our affirmation again, I am worthy of my good.
I am worthy of my good. That's beautiful.
Nice.
Well, I'll be reading the announcements because they're on my iPad. So, announcements. Next Sunday, we'll be wrapping up our rainbow series. We'll be having the last one. And so you can wear either the colors of the rainbow, like all of them, or as many of them as you can fit onto yourself, or you can just wear white, okay? Or you can wear anything you want to. Okay, you could do that too. We do not dictate your dress code here, okay, the dress code. Also, I'd like to just remind everybody that our Course in Miracles meets at 10 a.m. on Sundays, right here, right before the service, so it's very convenient. We do have our website, which is brightstarchurch.org. There's another Bright Star Church out there called, but it's .com. And sometimes I'll forget because I'll go to our website to do the newsletter, and I'm like, that's not our church. So it's back east somewhere. We have a lot coming up this month. That next Sunday, well, next Sunday is my aunt's birthday. We also have our potluck, our second Sunday potluck. The kids will have a Sunday school, a special Sunday school next Sunday, and at 10 a.m. when we're having the course, they'll be doing their 2013-14 vision boards. Okay, so that's happening. And then Sunday evening, the kids are having their movie night, and they'll be watching Warm Bodies. Can I get a thumbs up? Yeah. Are you happy?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. It's an excellent movie. I think I told you I watched it once, and I liked it so much that that night after I was getting ready to go to bed, I had to watch the movie trailer for it again, just because I wanted the quick wrap up of it, the quick version. Very good movie. So that all happens next Sunday. This week, we're starting our book club back up again. We're reading Neil Donald Walsh's new book, The Only Thing That Matters.
What is that?
What?
When?
It will have one Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. or Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. And that will be at my house, so you have to ask me for my address. Okay? Okay. So, but this is his latest book, and he's the one who put the Conversations with God book out there years ago. I want to say that was like 20 years ago probably is when he first started writing, and he really changed things. So both the book clubs are by a $5 love donation. Okay? And I planned a Tuesday morning meditation at 11. I haven't had anybody sign up, and that's okay. It's a 5-week meditation. So if there are people interested in it, but Tuesday mornings is not a good day, if I could get a couple, 2 people would be great. And we can pick some time then that works. Okay? So, because I could do an evening or a weekend too, that's fine. Okay? So here we are today, Violet. We all just look so sharp in here. I like your hand on your shirt.
You still do.
Shing's got a hand on the shirt. Like high five.
No purple, but orange and blue mixing.
Yes. When I do the newsletter on the website, it's through a program called MailChimp. Okay, and it's a little monkey that talks you through doing your newsletter, right? When you're done doing the newsletter, it gives you a big arm, like a high five. It's like, good job. And I always will sit there and I'll be like, yeah, got the newsletter to the computer. I do that. I just love technology. Okay, so here we are. Today's Violet. We're on part 7.
I didn't get the memo.
Okay, I'm sorry. From Meditations with Julian of Norwich. It says, our soul is one to God, unchangeable goodness, and therefore, between God and our soul, there is neither wrath nor forgiveness, because there's no in-between. Now that poem comes from a place of being in perfect alignment with Source, from having that understanding of what it is that actually works through it, having that realization of our relationship with our Creator. And it is from that profound space where profound spiritual awakening occurs, where profound spiritual transformation occurs. And so that brings us to the 7th step in our series. Now, violet is the color of cosmic consciousness, of mysticism, and of illumination. When we get to this level, we experience miracles as not only the huge burning bush type signs, but also the little things have the potential to transform us. We're transformed by those little smiles, those little jokes, okay, those little things that come to us just when we need it. Because we're able to live with the truth that we are an extension of God. We're able to just accept that, okay? Now that's something that I know I don't always accept that 100% of the time. And so there are other times when I'm just like, oh, I feel separate, okay? So when we get to this level in our thinking, okay, where we can allow the spiritual wisdom to work through us, that is an easier truth. It's an easy truth to live with, okay, that we are an extension of God. And so even though there are times when we can experience the feeling of being separated, we can't actually ever be as separated from our source, because God is everywhere. Where would we go? Where is left that God is not, right? God is in every space. So the best that we can do, okay, when we're not in a good space ourselves, when we're in a space of drama or being angry or unforgiving, the best that we can do is to pretend that we're separate from God. Okay, we pretend that we've been abandoned, or we pretend we're disconnected. We pretend we fell from grace. But none of those things actually happen because we've never been separate. There's nowhere we can go that God isn't. If we think there's somewhere that we can go that God isn't, we've just limited God. We've said, there's a space you can't go. Okay? God is everywhere present all the time. Our feeling of separation just comes from the consciousness that we are working with at that moment. Now, when we have the realization, we have the awareness that we are an extension of God, that we are created in the image of God, it is easier for us to live our soul purpose. It's easier to understand that we were given these human bodies to allow God to work through us. We were given these bodies to express divinity out into the world, to let God have a channel to come through. And that's what our soul purpose is, okay? That great purpose. When we are accepting how God works through us, then we just see the goodness in every other person, okay? They may do something we don't approve of, but we know we don't have to judge them. We see them still as an extension of God. They're still an extension of God, so we don't have to see them as a bad person. We can still see God in every situation. And so even the really difficult situations, we know God is there, even if we don't see God. We trust that God is there. And we can say, somewhere in this difficulty, I can find a reason to move forward. I can find a reason to say, well, at least I got this out of that. Okay, at least I'm able to move forward. We have to find something in every difficult situation or we can't move forward. And I used to wonder, how would this be possible if it was the most terrible thing that ever happened? But I know a mama who lost her children. And she never approved of what happened to her. Nobody would do that, right? That's a terrible thing that happened. And yet she did find a way to be a support system for other parents. Okay, and so that's what she does. She's like, this is what I have to do to keep doing. I have to keep spreading love out there. I have to keep giving myself, and she has to have a reason to keep going on. Okay, so even in the most terrible situations, we can't move forward unless we do find that thing that keeps us moving. Okay, finding a way to let God still express through us. That's what it is. We don't have to say it was God's will. What we can say, though, is I can still let God work through me even though I've had a trauma. I can still figure out how to let God work through me. Okay? But we can only get to this point by being able to go through all the steps of the rainbow. Okay, especially the first 3 steps. Those are the key steps. Okay, first, to be able to accept the package that our life is in. Okay, so everything that's happening, we can accept it. We don't have to approve of everything, but we can accept it and know that God will work through us and we'll move forward. We can accept the package all of our relationships are in. We may not approve of everything that happens, but we know that God is working in every person. Okay, so we know that there's a way for us to move forward. And then we accept the package that we are in. Okay, we have a certain level of intelligence, we have certain talents, we have a physical body that we have to work with. And when we can accept all those things, we know God is working through us. Okay? God is already using this body. To God, this is already perfect. Okay? We already can provide a perfect channel for God to work through. Okay? It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. So we can have that understanding. Now, when we have the understanding in those first 3 steps, we're automatically going to be able to move to that place of love. So we see things with more compassion. We see things with loving eyes, which allows us to make the choices for our highest good, which allows us to seek only the truth, okay, and to surrender our will to divine will, and to start seeing the spiritual truths. Now, if somebody's stuck in one of those first 3 steps, they may not see miracles in the same way as somebody who feels that the universe is working for their highest good. Okay, they'll just see things differently. Now, a few years ago, I had the most amazing experience, and I know I've told this story before because it's such an amazing story, but I was at the bank, Chase Bank up in Yucaipa, and I was in line, and this lady got in line behind me, and she had a little stack of checks she was depositing, and she starts talking to me. She says, yeah, as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna go home and rest and watch NASCAR the rest of the day. I love NASCAR, right? She did. Boy, she just like talked about it. I'm like, well, that's good. And she's like, yeah, I'm self-employed. I have a house cleaning business. I'm like, oh, well, that's good. She goes, no, the economy's just getting bad, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna start losing business. I'm like, oh, okay. And then she says, and then I really hurt my neck. And I'm like, oh, wow. She goes, yeah, I thought I was going to have surgery. And I'd have to be on medicine the rest of my life, painkillers. But I went to my chiropractor and he adjusted it in one adjustment. And I was like, oh, wow, that's good news, right? And then she holds up her finger with this little tiny Band-Aid and she goes, and then I cut my finger. And she's like, I thought I was going to have stitches, right? Little teeny Band-Aid, right? I don't know. I could have been a really deep cut, I suppose, but, you know, I cut my finger a couple years ago and like almost pulled the whole top off of it, right? I mean, now that's a cut, right? You have to wrap a bunch of gauze around it and then put one of those little finger balloons on it, right? Okay, but so she's holding up this little tiny Band-Aid and I'm just like, wow. She goes, I have the worst luck ever. And that's what makes this story so remarkable, okay? And so I actually said to her, I'm like, wow, well, you know, at least you didn't have to get stitches, so that's pretty lucky. And your chiropractor adjusted your neck in one adjustment. That's really amazing. I see a chiropractor a lot, and sometimes she can't get it in one visit. And I said, and you are going to get to go home today and watch NASCAR and relax. I don't know, it sounds to me like you're pretty lucky. She did this. Okay, that noise, like the little noise, the grumble, that is actually saying, shut up, okay? That's what she said to me with her little noise. Now, she's behind me in line, right? She actually turns away from me. So she'll have to walk backwards in line to not look at me, right? So that was like just one of the most amazing experiences that I have ever had because it put things so much in perspective for me. Okay? It's all about perspective. Sometimes we are in a space where we see things as lucky or unlucky. We see things as either a situation has divine intervention or God's ignoring us. Okay? And it all has to do with our perception. Now, when we're stuck somewhere in those first 3 steps, that we can't accept something that's going on, okay, we're going to be more likely to live by our perceptions, okay, and see life as lucky or unlucky. See God as ignoring us or not ignoring us, okay? But see, we're taught that the kingdom of heaven is within us, right? Well, you know what? Depending on the kind of day we're having, the kingdom of hell is also there. It all depends on our perception. Okay, that's what it is. It is all about perception. We are choosing what it is that we express, what it is we're focusing on. Okay, those miracles or those unlucky events. Okay? Now, the spiritual truth for this part of our journey is live in the present moment. Live in the present moment. I have had times where I have been so present, it's invigorated me. Like I can remember one time I had some kind of worry, but I took my kids to the lake in Yucaipa. This is many years ago. And for the whole 2 hours we were there, I totally forgot everything. And when I got home, I was like, what was it I was so upset about? And I had to think about it and go find it again, right? Okay, when we're in the present moment, we're in alignment with God. Okay, God is able to just freely work through us for a totally clear, open channel. And I had somebody, she wanted to argue with me about this. And she did present a really good argument. She said that she's in pain all the time. That there's never a present moment where she doesn't have pain. And I'm like, well, okay, that makes sense. And so I thought about that. But when we moved recently, my knee started acting up. That I've got this knee, and I fell on it when Adam was a baby. I landed on a baby gate, and it was very uncomfortable. And ever since then, it's given me trouble now and then. Since I've lost weight, it's not as bad. But the move, I think it was just a lot, up and down, picking up boxes and all that, right? Well, a few days ago, my husband's like, I got some boxes for you, and he brings these boxes in the house. They're all full of books. And I'm like, oh. And for like 45 minutes, I had been sitting down and working on the sermon, right? Or a wedding or something. And I kept rubbing my knee the whole time, right? And I was like, oh, my knee. I need to rub some more arnica on that. Oh, my knee. And I go back to working. And well, the whole time I was going through those boxes, I never thought about my knee. I was careful with it. I mean, I didn't get on the floor on my knees, right? It was really funny because after it was done, I was like, oh yeah, my knee's sore. And I went back to thinking about my knee. So I thought, okay, I'm thinking about this whole being present, right? And so I called one of my friends, and she has severe back pain all the time. She's got rheumatoid arthritis all through her spine, and so she just always feels like it's inflamed. She does take medicine for it, but it just kind of dulls the sharpness of it. She's still always in pain. So I was telling her what I was talking about today, and she's like, oh yeah, I do that too. Sometimes I'll forget. And I'm like, really? She goes, oh yeah, like when me and my husband are romantic. I'm like, so we can get distracted, okay, because being in the present moment is allowing God to work through us. And when we're living in the present moment, other things will become secondary to us. So grief will become secondary. Pain becomes secondary. Anxiety, stress, illness, sickness all become secondary. A few years ago, I had a virus, and I think it was related to allergies because I would get it like every 6 weeks in this old house where we had a lot of mold. And so I'm feeling really crummy, and then a friend of mine brings me over the entire DVD collection for the TV series Firefly, which I had never seen. And you know, if you don't know this, I am a science fiction geek, okay? I love science fiction, all right? Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, okay? Firefly. So I watched the entire series in like 2 days, because I was just sitting in front of the TV for a couple days, right? The whole time I'm involved in the series, I wasn't thinking about my not feeling good. I was like, oh, you know, in front of the TV the whole time. Okay, so I was able to experience being distracted because I was really caught up in this other reality that's on TV. My husband says when he used to have a motorcycle that when he would be really stressed out, he'd get on his motorcycle and ride, and he'd forget about everything. You know, while he was on the bike, because it takes all your concentration, you know, to ride a motorcycle. But there's a lot of feelings of freedom that go with that, and being connected to the road, and so it's an amazing experience to ride on a motorcycle. There's a lot to appreciate when you're up there. Okay, so we live in the present moment. We're in total alignment with the universe. Things become secondary, so we will see miracles differently. So if we're really feeling at one with the universe, okay, say that we have this dog, and this dog likes to escape and run all over town, and we have to chase them, and we get real upset, and we've had to bail them out of doggy jail a few times. If they get out and one of our neighbors grabs the dog for us, we might say, oh, an angel. An angel caught my dog for me. What an angel. Okay, we see that as divine intervention. Now, I used to have a dog who did that. And when somebody would catch her, I did see it as divine intervention because I knew what a pain she was. Now, if we're not in a space where we're feeling, you know, connected to God, and that dog gets out and our neighbor catches it, we might say, oh, my nice neighbor caught the dog. But we're not going to see it as divine intervention. Okay, now that's a subtle difference. Okay, to say, well, what? Do I look at everything as if it's divine intervention? Or what? Or am I just like, hey, this is just life, right? Well, Albert Einstein answers this for us. Okay, he says there are only 2 ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle. The other is though everything is a miracle. We have a phenomenal cosmic force that is working through us all the time. Why wouldn't we see everything around us as a miracle? Okay, why wouldn't we see everything as something telling us how to move forward again, or how to remember what works through us, right? So the key word for this part of our journey is faith. Having faith in what works through it. Now, it's from faith that we most powerfully align with this cosmic consciousness. And it is from here that divine energy enters into our consciousness. And then we connect naturally into the power of prayer. Okay, now, we pray without ceasing. That's what we do. Every thought is in the mind of God already. God's everywhere, so there's nothing we can think that is not put into the mind of God. And we're coming from a place of this divine cosmic connection, and we see everything as divine intervention. Every prayer aligns us toward that. Every prayer brings us closer to the brightest expression of ourselves. So we'll pray, and even if we don't get the answer we wanted, we'll still be able to say, well, you know, I'm still going to be directed toward expressing the brightest version of myself. You know, I may not get what's happening right now, but at some point I'll understand what's happening. Now, I had some friends, and I thought this was a really good example because it was very complicated what happened to them, but they were praying. She was praying that her family could get moved from here in Southern California to Colorado. okay? Her husband applied for a job out there and he got it. They sold their house, and actually they weren't even able to sell their house. They ended up losing their house. They sold a bunch of their stuff, put what little left they had in storage. They moved to Colorado. He went into work that day and they told him, you know, this isn't going to work out. We don't have the funding. Right? They couldn't have said something a week earlier when they were still here. No, they waited till they got to Colorado. So they ended up living in like 3 different places before they end up in Washington State. Okay? And they moved in with friends, and they moved in with family, and they just kept moving north. And that's how they ended up in Washington, because the next friend is like, well, you can come stay with me for a couple weeks, and you know, maybe your husband could find a job here. And so they just kept following this line up to Washington. Her husband now has a good job. She has a decent job. You know, she got her kids back in one school. You know, they don't have to keep moving around. So she never saw that coming. And it was not the easiest way that it could have happened. But, you know, every time I would talk to her, because she would call to give me her progress, I never knew where she was calling from. Like, so where are you now? Right? She was always moving. Okay? But she would always say, well, you know, we're here right now, or, you know, we're in Eureka, and I'm just waiting for Spirit to give me my next step, you know, so I know where to go. And she was really able to be connected to that. I thought, I don't know that I could do that so easily, especially with kids, right? You're worried about that. So she ended up in Washington, and they're fine now. They're good. Okay, so when we're connected in to how God is working through us, and we're trusting that, even when things don't always turn out as we want, we know we're going to eventually be directed, right? Eventually we're going to get there, right? We don't always have to see the whole staircase, right? Just that first step. But what happens if we're not following these steps? What happens if we're stuck someplace where we can't accept something happening in our life, right? We may pray, and it may be answered like we want it to be answered, okay? That does happen. We do get prayers answered just like we expect sometimes, right? And then all is good, we're fine. But what if we pray and it's not what we wanted? Okay, what if the universe, in all of its divine, unlimited wisdom, sees something better for us? Okay, and then we might think, well, this didn't happen right, so my prayer wasn't answered. Or this didn't happen like I wanted it to, so God must be saying no. Okay, so we might think that the universe is just ignoring us at that point, because we can't see how divinity works through everything. Just because our troubles have not been removed to our satisfaction does not mean that we have not received grace and guidance. There's a movie called The Frisco Kid. It came out in 1979, Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford. It was one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. It's not even science fiction. It's a Western. It takes place in the 1800s. Gene Wilder plays a rabbi named Avram, and he's in Poland, okay? They get a notice from a Jewish community in San Francisco that they need a rabbi there. So this area, and I guess it's like a temple where they train rabbis, they decide to send Avram. Okay, so they give him some money, enough to get him across the US. He lands on a boat in New York, where he's immediately robbed, because he's so sweet, and he just sees goodness in everybody, and he wants to help as much as he can. So he's robbed. Well, he eventually meets up with Harrison Ford's character, a man named Tommy, who's a bank robber. Of course, he's a bank robber with a heart of gold, right? Okay, that's just how it is. He takes it upon himself to make sure that Avram gets across the country to San Francisco. Now, Avram is carrying a Torah with him, and it's in a big roll, okay, like rolled parchment. Well, they're being chased by some Native Americans who are very angry, and the Torah falls out of the bag, out of the saddlebag, right? Avram has to go back and get this Torah. The Indians capture them. Now, the chief is really surprised about this. Now, the chief of this tribe has been educated in Great Britain, so he's very, very, very educated. And he's like, but he doesn't quite understand this. He's like, you know, you were being chased. And Avram's like, well, it's the Torah. It's my holy book. It's very important. Really? I've tried reading this. I can't read a word of it, right? Because it was in, I guess, Hebrew, right? And so they get into this really amazing conversation because the chief is very concerned. There's been no rain for a very, very long time, and they're starting to suffer from it. So the chief says to him, "Can your God make rain?" Avram says, yes. The chief says, but he doesn't. Avram says, that's not his department. The chief says, what does he do? Avram says, he can do anything. The chief says, then why can't he make rain? So Avram says, because he doesn't make rain. He gives us strength when we are suffering. He gives us compassion when all that we feel is hatred. He gives us courage when we are searching around like little mice in the darkness. But he does not make rain. Now, sure enough, it starts pouring rain at this point in the movie, right? And thundering. And so the rabbi gets a chance to say, of course, sometimes, just like that, he'll change his mind. Okay? Now, at this level of wisdom, this is how we see God. Okay, we see God as that force that is working through us for our highest good, even when things are not happening like we want them to work out. Okay, even when things are happening that we wish weren't, and what we want to happen is not happening. God is still working through us. And when we can trust the direction that we are moving in, it's going to allow us to express the brightest version of ourselves. And it's God guiding us that allows us to express that brightest version. Okay, we learn to trust our inner guidance system. The simple things become profound spiritual experiences. Yesterday I was driving home from taking this one up to the theater, and I just said to the universe, I'm like, I just want some kind of happy sign just to say, yay, Deanna, good job, right? And so I decided to turn the radio on, and I like to do that sometimes. You just turn the radio on, and what does that song say to you? It was Faith by George Michaels, which, it's not like my favorite song ever, but I was like, Faith, I'm talking about faith tomorrow, right? So I was really excited. How many times have you gone to see a movie, and it was so profound to you, okay? It had this deep spiritual truth in it, and you were just like amazed, okay, how it spoke to you. And then you tell a friend of yours, wow, I saw this movie, and it was just so amazing, like on a soul level. And then your friend says, yeah, and the fight scene was really good. Okay? That's what happened like with me in The Matrix. I love The Matrix so much. I was talking to one of my friends who loved it, and he's all like talking about the fighting and the weapons and stuff, right? Like, wait a second. And when we're coming from this level, okay, of having the spiritual wisdom work through us, prayer is no longer a request for things to make our life comfortable. It is a request for union with God. Okay, to have just pure union, prayer becomes energy medicine. Okay? Because we're willing to just surrender all the stuff that we think we want, let God work through us for our highest good. Trust ourselves. Trust that God created this body as a channel for God, so that when we're given some kind of guidance, it feels right to us. So we know we're moving in the right direction. It may feel scary, because usually guidance is getting us off the couch. Usually guidance is getting us back on track. Okay? Though, we can ask for guidance that says, to tell us a good job, right? We know that. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, there is a light within people of light, and they shine it upon the whole world. If they do not shine it, what darkness? Now, when we recognize that point of light that is within us, it's easier to connect with the awareness of what it is that works through us. That empowers us to be channels for divine grace and miracles, not just for ourselves, but for other people. And it often happens without our knowledge. Now, Jesus performed many healing miracles. But there is a story of a woman who's very sick, and he was passing through the crowd one day, and she reached out and she just touched his cloak, right? Now he was aware of it. He's like, whoa, somebody just got some healing from me. Okay, so she received that because Jesus had an awareness of who he was, and he lived it honestly. And he kept trying to tell everybody else that you have this in you too, right? So he lived with that awareness. So he was radiating that divine grace that heals other people, okay, that they get just from being in his presence. Now, why was it just this woman, though, who received the healing? Why not the entire crowd? Okay, now, sometimes we don't recognize a miracle when it's presented to us. Okay, sometimes a miracle comes our way. It doesn't look like we wanted our miracle to look. In Luke chapter 11, verse 9, Jesus says, "Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you." All that's about taking action, right? That's all taking action. Seek, knock. Knock, what was the other one? Ask, okay? Ask, seek, knock. Those are actions that we take. It's not passive, right? We're taking an action. We want miracles to work through us and into our life. So we don't want to sit back and let our senses get dulled by situations that keep us dwelling on things that upset us or make us mad or keep us in a space where we can't be forgiving, right? That dulls our spiritual senses. We don't see the miracles when we're in that state. Okay, we want to experience miracles, and we do that actively by allowing them to appear to us however they're going to appear. We allow them, we expect them. Okay, we just say, yeah, I'm just going to have a miracle today. I don't know how it's going to look, but I'm going to let God exceed my expectations. God's unlimited. God knows things I don't have awareness of. So I'll let him exceed my expectations. That's not crazy. Okay, there's so much we don't know that we don't know. Okay, we choose to see the miracles. We are the ones who choose to see God working everywhere. We make the choice. Albert Einstein said coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Okay, but still, okay, a coincidence is a synchronicity. Okay, something happens that gets us moving in the right direction, right? We think, oh, wow. Okay, that was interesting. Okay, that's the universe. That's the universe just stepping in, right? Okay, if God spoke in a big booming voice to people all the time, we'd be spending a lot of time probably being freaked out. Okay, there's a reason why in the Bible when angels appear to people, the first thing they say is, don't be afraid. Okay? But sometimes we only want that booming voice. And so we miss the synchronicities. Okay, because it's not how we wanted God to talk to us. Okay, we want God to give us a burning bush too. Moses could have one, why can't we? Right? We choose to see the miracles. Okay, we choose to see that God's working in our life. The kids and I, we play this game with a blue Lamborghini. Because there's one here in Redlands somewhere. Or somebody with a blue Lamborghini knows somebody in Redlands. The first time we saw it, it was on the way to the high school up here because Adam's band was playing in the Battle of the Bands. Well, not only did his band win the competition that night, Adam had a drum off with the other drummers performing and he won the drum off. And so later on we decided that seeing a blue Lamborghini meant something really cool and awesome was going to happen. We just don't know how that's going to look, right? So then we saw one, I don't know, in the last week, I guess, and Adam was the one who saw it, and he's like, a blue Lambo. And I'm just like, what? And we look, and there it is, right? Well, so we're like talking, whoa, so I wonder what's going to happen. Well, my husband that night finds the job that he's actually going to be starting this Monday. So we had a job change. Okay, so something happened. We're choosing to see the miracles. Okay, when I see a Lamborghini, a blue one, I'm the one choosing to decide that it means something really cool is going to happen. Okay, I've chosen that. But then I'm opening myself up to receive something. I'm opening myself up to allow miracles. Okay, how many people saw the blue Lamborghini that day and said, that's an expensive car. I bet it's a lot of gas. That's kind of self-indulgent to own that car, I would think. Okay, and they looked at it and saw it a totally different way. Okay, it's just choice. We choose. We are the ones who choose. Okay, so it's faith that allows us to do that. It's having faith that the universe works through everything, that God is in the blue Lamborghini, just like he's in the little broken down Chevy that we see parked at the side of the road. It's everywhere, okay? God is everywhere. To empower through faith means that we come from the space where we automatically respond. Just wondering, well, how's God working through this situation? We automatically respond with love, support, encouragement. That's where we automatically come from. We don't roll our eyes first and then grumble and then say, oh, I could have been more loving. Okay, but if we do that, that's still a step in the right direction. Okay, when I catch myself, I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad I just caught myself. Now I'll be more loving right now. Okay, it's still a step in the right direction, but see, when we are responding automatically, because we're practicing all the time, right? We respond automatically, we are allowing ourselves to act on divine impulse. Now, think about what that means. We're acting on divine impulse. That is really powerful. That says right there what works through us. We were not created to just be wandering around this planet for no reason. We were created by God, so God could work through us. And we're acting on divine impulse. Every action we take is an action to invoke our Creator into our life. Every action that we take is an action to invoke miracles into our life and miracles into the lives of other people. Now think about all the moments of miracles that you've had in your whole life. Okay, some of them may have been like so big that even all your friends were impressed. Okay, but some of them may be pretty little. Like when I heard that song yesterday, okay? Other people may be like, yeah, so what, you know? I hear a song. Like, yeah, that's okay. To me, it meant something because I'm choosing to see how God works through my world. Okay? There's a Zen master. I think I've only ever said his name one time out loud. Thich Nhat Hanh. Have you ever heard of that?
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yes.
Say it one more time.
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thank you. Okay. He said to practice smile yoga every day. Okay? Smile at everybody and mean it. Just smile at somebody and mean it. That right there is a miracle. I've been on the receiving end of that smile miracle. Okay? When I've been driving somewhere and somebody out of the blue just looks at me from their car and smiles. One time I was going to get on the freeway and there was a car parked going the opposite direction. And I had to stop because of a red light. And so he was like right here and I was right there, right? So we were like right windshields, right? But I had popped the clutch on my car and it kind of went clunk, you know. He looks at me and he goes like that. And I laughed. That was months and months and months ago and I still laugh about it. I still laugh about it. I think about that, like how there are people out there who recognize the humor in all situations and they're willing to join us in that divine relationship that just lasted a few minutes. A few minutes, God worked through this young man and touched me. Okay, and the moment's long gone, but the feeling is still there. The feeling is still there now. Smiling is an easy way to give a miracle to somebody. I mean, that's a good place to start. Just give a smile. Right? And if you really want to have some fun, smile at someone at a four-way stop and then let them go first. They'll be scratching their head about you the rest of the day. Or they may tell a story about you 6 months later and how you made them laugh. Okay? Who knows? I once knew this guy. Actually, I still know him. I just never see him. But when I would be around him, he would just radiate this loving energy. He's a very spiritual person. Very kind, and when I was taking some spiritual classes, and like we would just all be around him and just like, oh, life is so great, right? And we would just have this amazing feeling being around him. And then, later on, you could just kind of feel that it kind of fades a little bit, right? Now there are people who would say that about being around the Dalai Lama, that when they're around the Dalai Lama, they feel this like amazing energy. There's another man, I don't know what his name is, but he gives out little bottles of ashes. And when people are around him, they're just like, they're just so uplifted by his loving energy. Okay? There's Wayne Dyer. Okay? Joel Osteen. There are all these people who radiate this loving energy. But we can do that too. There are millions of us out there that we haven't written, a lot of books and we're not speaking in front of thousands of people and maybe we're not doing what they are doing, but we still have the same exact opportunity to spread those miracles around because the same force that works through the Dalai Lama works through us. The same force that works through the Pope works through us. Okay, there's no different force out there. Okay, there's not somebody who is a bigger channel. There's not somebody who's a taller channel. God works through everybody, and God created everybody to be a channel for divine miracles and grace. So we can already do that. We can already provide those opportunities. We have that unlimited force, and it is filled with so much potential and so much promise. So why wouldn't we just be spreading miracles all the time? Right? Why wouldn't we just do that? All we have to do is be open and present to what it is that works through us. That's all we have to do. Just have faith that it's going to move us in the right direction. So until next time, remember, you are a divine child of a loving Creator. You are a force for good. With every beat of your heart and with every breath you take, you're radiating light and love into the world around you. In everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is. Now, Vicki, could I ask you to grab the prayer box? No, you know what? Actually, Macy, you grab the prayer box. And you'll start with the loving energy. We pass this around the room now.
Oh,
Okay, and just, so Macy can start. You can hold the pencil, baby. Okay, and just send some love into it. Trying to figure out how it'll go around. Yeah. Okay, just send some love into the prayer box. That's our new thing. We pass it around the room and send love. Thank you. Okay, I'll take that. All right, so we're going to take a moment and just feel that there is that force that's working through us right now. That force just sent loving energy through us, through our heart. Okay, we're connected to each other through that divine force. And so we think about the prayers that are in this box right now. Prayers that are from people that we already know, and maybe some prayers from people we don't know yet. Okay, but we know them in spirit. And so just feel that force of God working through you. And we think about the requests that are in this box. And we see with complete faith how God works through their life, how God works through them and all their relationships to bring love and healing for the highest good. We see them empowered with love and faith. And we think about our own life, any cares or concerns that we may have. And we put those metaphorically into this box also. We see how God works through us, through our life, and through all of our relationships. We allow ourselves to be empowered with faith and love for our highest good, for the highest good of those around us. And so it is. Amen.